Well, what sort of a world do we fucking live in? Pardon me. I'm probably going to give my age away a little bit here, but when I was a child, I can remember eating my dinner by the light of a kerosene lamp. That's right, we had no electricity. We got TV when I was a young teenager. When I was a child, we played in the mud, the dirt, we drank out of the local creek, we roamed paddocks that were infested with tiger snakes. I learned how to drive a tractor when I was 9 and a truck about the same time. I rode horses fast, sometimes with no saddle or bridle. We picked fresh blackberries without falling into the bushes and getting seriously injured because the best ones were always up the top. As a child, I could leave home in the morning and return home in the evening, and for that whole day I could have been anywhere on a 4,000 acre farm or even on the neighbour's place. Now, I'm not saying nobody cared, but that was freedom. Now, people my age who lived on a farm did this and more. And our peers in the villages and towns, they all had their own way of having fun. But mostly, nothing went wrong. We understood what freedom really is. We were free, unlike today. They move along a bit to the teenage years, really a minimum of rules. Used to get around the local town or the local village. If you got caught doing burnouts in your dad's car, stuff like that, not that I would have, but I could have, well, you'd be really worried if the cops got you because you wouldn't get a fine, you wouldn't get punished, but your fear was that they'd go home and tell your dad about it. And then you really would be in fucking trouble, let me tell you. When I was a teenager, in most major country towns in New South Wales, there were no traffic lights. You could drive from one side of Bathurst or Orange or Tamworth or any of those towns, one side to the other in a matter of minutes. And back then, every farmer in the country drove around with a firearm in their ute, in their car, in their tractor. It was just fucking normal. Well, the next thing you know, I'm in my 30s, I'm a truckie, I've got a young family. The rules are getting a bit worse. The police are getting radar in their cars. Howard, little Johnny Howard, strategically took away our firearms, but that's another story for another day. And before you know it, there's speed cameras everywhere, fixed cameras, red light cameras. Welcome, Big Brother. Everything's turning into a bureaucratic nightmare. And it just got worse and worse the further we went, and it sped up, and it's still speeding up. They're inventing rules now. Well, I'm Wayne Pepper, and you can call me Wayno. This is my introductory video for my new YouTube channel. It's called the Pepper Files. Why have I done this? Well, as I said, I've known freedom and I see it slipping away. Not just slipping away, it's fucking off into the distance really quickly. And I want to make people more aware of what's happening and how quickly that's happening. You see, I've learned a lot about our rights. And if you don't know about your rights, you don't fucking have any. That's how it is. So, I've learnt many of life's lessons, mostly the hard way, which is the best way because they're well learned and you never forget them. Early on in life, I sort of thought, well, maybe life was just hard. And then after some time, I realised that there were lessons inside those hardships, inside those bad decisions. So when I realised that, I kind of stopped making the same mistakes over and over again. Now, your mistakes, our bad decisions, that's where our best lessons are. And I'm talking about the decisions and the mistakes around relationships and money, the things that you can't bear to look back on, you don't ever want to think about it or be reminded about it again. But that's where the learning is. You know, somebody once asked me, they said, what's the biggest mistake you reckon you ever made, Wayno? I said to them, well, it's really nice that you think I've actually peaked because I don't think I have. Well, too many of us live our life in our comfort zone. You know what happens in your comfort zone? Nothing. Fucking nothing. That's why they call it a comfort zone. If you live in your comfort zone, I'm not saying that you wouldn't learn anything. Your comfort zone might involve you going to university and learning stuff. You could do that and still be in your comfort zone. I probably couldn't, but some people could. But if you're living your whole life in your comfort zone, there's a lot of stuff you're not learning. And you're not learning it because any information that comes to you that is outside your belief system is rejected as a threat. And trying anything really different or outrageous is probably out of the question. So at this point in life, you're on the mouse wheel of life. You're going around and around and around and nothing changes. Only the day. Now, I'm not saying that you're not getting on. You could be getting on, but the problem you're going to come into, the problem that you're going to find is that life throws shit at you. It will put you out of your comfort zone and you will be ill-equipped to handle it. You might just spare a thought for our country at the moment and how it is. There's a lot of people outside their comfort zone. Anyway, the purpose of the Pepper Files, this new channel, the Pepper Files, is to try and inspire people to maybe change their habits, get out of their comfort zone, and try and live life a different way, maybe a better way. I'm pleased to announce that this process can be started at any age. In fact, some of my biggest and most profound lessons have been learned in the last 10 years, and certainly in the last 20 years. Now, I'm still a work in progress, of course. This learning stuff is never finished. Never finished. So the thing is, we're all going to die one day, right? Well, I don't want to get predictably old and predictably slow and predictably senile and then just croak. You know? I want to come racing in on the last day of my life and be totally fucking surprised that it can be all over so quickly. That's how I want to live my life. Well, if I'm going to inspire you, what is it that I can actually bring to the table to be able to do that? Well, I'm probably no smarter or no better than anyone else. But the thing is, we all have stuff that we're just good at. And a lot of us don't realise the one thing that we're good at, but we're all good at least one thing. Now, as I said before, I've learnt life's lessons and I'm still learning. There's a good reason for that. Ever since I was a young bloke and I started to run into problems that were out of my control, I've sought information and general knowledge for as long as I can remember. And I now know that I have some innate way, a skill perhaps, of being able to pick out the message or the lesson or the problem out of all the surrounding clutter. I believe this is called claircognizance, but that is a fucking big word. The other thing I believe I have is awareness. Well, let me tell you the definition of awareness. I looked it up quickly. Awareness is a state of being conscious of something. More specifically, it is the ability to directly know and perceive, to feel, or to be cognizant of events. The concept is often synonymous to consciousness and is also understood to be consciousness itself. Now, we know and perceive through vision, sound, touch, taste, smell, facial expressions, all of that. That description's perhaps a little bit deep, the best I can do today, but awareness is actually a thing. Now, my skill at recognising the problem, or of me being aware, these are things that originally, in my mind, related only to me. They help me to learn about myself and bring about beneficial changes within myself. A worthy cause, I thought. But after a while, I learned to apply. I learned to apply it to what was happening around me. That's what awareness is all about. It accelerates your learning and will change your life forever. It's probably a learned skill, but anyone can learn it. But you have to be aware of awareness before you can learn anything about it. Now, when you are aware, you notice stuff. You notice stuff. You know, in the 90s, I had a business. I often used to go to the bank. One day I walked in there and everything was different. I couldn't get to the counter. I had to line up. Within a week, it was the same in every bank and post office and council office right around the country. At around the same time, you couldn't ring the council or the bank or Telstra or anybody like that without getting a robot on the other end of the phone. And you had to sit there and wait for the robot to do its thing before you could actually get on with your business. You know, you couldn't even get your own information from the bank where you were personally known by management and staff unless you proved who you were. So there you were lined up in a bank like a fucking sheep. Instead of moving about your life with a sense of purpose, you spend half your life lined up like a fucking sheep. Now, I recognise this for what it was. It was a major, engineered social change that enveloped everybody. And it happened all around the country at the same time, and quite possibly all around the world at the same time. Major, engineered social change. But, you know, if you were born after about 1980, this happened, I believe, in the 90s. So if you were born about 1980, you grew into this ridiculous situation and you probably don't know any different. Now, that's not your fault, of course, but it does demonstrate how governments can change things from one generation to the next, and in no time it's completely forgotten and there's no going back to the old way. Okay, so now you know a bit about what I'm all about. So I'm inviting you to come along with me and help download the Pepper Files. At the same time, I'll learn more about myself and other stuff, and I'll upload that into the Pepper Files, and I'll be a smarter and better and more aware person. Now, I'm going to upload a video every week with the intention of having some fun, learning some stuff, and perhaps creating a like-minded community. So if you want to come along and help me, hit the like button, hit the follow button, and I'll see you in a week.